Hi, my name is Mateo Martinez. I'm a data scientist here at Locks Digital Group. Today, we're going to review our sentiment analysis optimization tool, which performs predictive analytics and gives recommendations as part of our recommendation engine here at Locks Digital. This is targeted for email service providers as a marketing campaign tool. And let's take a look at this model in practice now. So this is our fifth part of our now 5-part series on predictive analytic machine learning models. This one provides sentiment analysis and provides a tone score of the text body of an email, as well as a prediction of the conversion rate of a target feature variable, as well as a recommendation of how to optimize the contents of your email by adding to a sentiment score of a particular category class. So the data we used for this model, the first part for the sentiment analysis, we created this data set in-house. It is a data set of 10,000 rows of text and a tone classification. These were collected using a variety of web scraping techniques to create a balanced data set of these 8 sentiment seen here below: confident, friendly, joyful, respectful, urgent, analytical, casual, and optimistic. And then the other data set we used was the same data set from the University of California Irvine machine learning repository of a email data set of approximately 6,000 rows of emails and a binary classification of if this email was deemed spam or not spam. From there, we created additional synthetic data that would be typically found as part of an email marketing campaign. In terms of modeling used, for the sentiment analysis, we use a BERT model, bidirectional encoder representations from transformers model, that uses natural language processing and TensorFlow to build a neural network that will classify the text to the corresponding sentiments. And then from this BERT model, we're going to use those outputs as inputs into a next portion, which is our predictive analytics, that uses a XGBoost tree-based model that will give a prediction of the conversion rate on your target feature, as well as creating synthetic alternate versions of your email to see if a different tone would lead to a higher conversion rate. And we would potentially, in a production environment, use ensemble models to increase accuracy. But that would also just use higher compute resources, but that would be addressed on a case-by-case basis. These are instructions if you want to run this notebook on your own. All you need is a link provided to this G Drive folder. From there, you can follow these steps and have these same outputs on your own environment. So here we're just installing some basic Python packages. This model was programmed in the Python programming language using TensorFlow and Keras for our neural network, as well as our standard other statistical and computational packages. And this should just take a moment. Next, we're going to load our data sets. This first one is just the data set containing the email and the synthetic data we created. The other one is the embedding outputs from our neural network model. So here we can see the first 5 rows of our data set. This is just the text body of the email and the word count of the email. The title for this purpose is just the first sentence of the email. The title length, deliverability, open rate, click-through rate, unsubscribe, abandoned cart, typical feature variables as part of a email marketing campaign, metrics collected by most email service providers. And this are metrics that we will parse through your historical data to extract key data points, a number of images, number of links, number of videos, number of call to action buttons, the text of the call to action, the color of that button, if there's any videos, the length of those videos, the length as a categorical variable, the title as a categorical variable, the campaign type, the industry that the email was used in, and potentially if the ESP you're working with has access to the customer emails. These are typically delivered in a hash anonymized format, but if we have that data, we can feed that into the model as well. And if you have different marketers working on the same campaign, to see between the performance of various digital marketers. These are the embeddings. This is typically, this would be seen passing these text bodies into our neural network model. It would output how closely each of these text bodies of these emails falls into these 8 categories. This is on a scale from 0 to 1, 1 being more akin to this type of sentiment. So this email would be seen as an 8% analytical, a little over 1% casual, 35% confident, 15% friendly, 25% joyful. So this email would be interpreted as being most confident. And we'll see this in practice below. This is just loading and instantiating our neural network model. And we'll see these outputs in a moment. These are just the inputs of the email and the dimensions of the neural network, at one point containing potentially 10 million parameters, and then outputting our 8 sentiments in our final layer of the neural network. Now that we have our neural network instantiated, we can begin uploading our email. This would be the point where a digital marketer would have drafted a version of their email marketing campaign. They would want to input it into our model, uploading this sample email from the Zoho email service provider. We can see this email here rendered over here from our partners at Bright Apps. This is just one of their newsletters they sent to their client base. And so this HTML we have sent into our model, which is first parsed to extract all the relevant information. And then here the marketer could determine how they want to optimize for their target variable. If they want to optimize for deliverability rate, unsubscribe, open rates, click-through rates, abandoned carts. So let's look at a click-through rate, as that's predominantly the most relevant for this model. And we have an option of selecting what type of campaign they're running for to have more optimized results, to have it based on a more similar historical data set to the campaign currently running. And so I believe this was a newsletter email, and then subsetting additionally into what type of industry it is. And so I think this would most relevantly be in the software and technology industry. And then with those parameters in place, we can run our machine learning model. So just to interpret these output results, we're optimizing for click-through rates in a newsletter campaign in the software and technology industry. And this email was determined to be most confident, with a descending a smaller portion of analytical, joyful, friendly, urgent, respectful, very small amount casual. And so the current conversion rate for this email, 97%, which would be fantastic. In practice, we would be training these machine learning models to your historical data. So this would be most tuned and relevant to your customer base and the metrics and success rates in your previous historical marketing campaigns. And so noting that it was not very casual from this model's analysis, and they interpreted if you could increase the tone and make the text body of the email slightly more casual, you could squeeze out an additional 1% of a conversion rate. And so thus, this sentiment analysis model would recommend using a more casual tone for increasing your sentiment score. And this could vary, and if there's a less analytical category, we can even see here if we change this to saying this was more of a engagement campaign email, in the saying if this was hypothetically in the retail industry. We'll see what type of model results we get. Here it's still the same amount of sentiments the model's identifying, only a 95% conversion probability. And if they used a more respectful tone for these types of campaigns, you would squeeze out an additional 2% conversion rate. This is using largely synthetic data, so I think these conversion rates would be more mapped to your typical campaigns and the types of lifts you're historically seeing with the range of types of emails you've been using. And so just noting these are on a 0 to 1 scale. These are almost 100% here, which would be fantastic. And we hope in the future you use one of these models with Locke's Digital Group, and ideally you see equivalently positive results. But we're happy to work with you here at Locke's, run a demo with you using a sample of your historical data, be it the last month, 2 months, 3 months of data. We can build out a demo model for you to see how it works with your historical data and the campaigns you've been running, and happy to provide a initial data analysis, and we look forward to hearing from you here at Locke's. Thank you.